everybody? Michael Cohen here with you. We got a lot to cover. We're going to have probably a couple of videos here coming out here on the Sports Talk Nation. One here, obviously, we're going to do it on the Jets, and then, of course, another one on the Mets as their season comes to an end. They lose, obviously, to the Dodgers in Game 6 of the NLCS, and it's going to be the Dodgers and the Yankees in the World Series. That's going to be a separate video. Right now, we're going to focus on the Jets, who lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers and lose in a terrible way, 37-15 on Sunday Night Football. And on a night where it was a crazy night, right? You had all these things happening. On a night where the Mets season came to an end in the NLCS. And also where the New York Liberty won their WNBA championship. The New York Jets assured to their fans, after all the high expectations and all the hope and all the hoopla going into the year, that the 2024 season for the New York Jets is over. They're 2-5. And yes, I know back in 2002, the Jets were 2-5 to start that year, and they wound up 9-7, and they won the AFC East. That was 22 years ago. That's not this kind of team. This team is a complete and utter train wreck. Total train wreck from top to bottom. This was a game, just like all the other games the Jets have played here this year, especially lately, that they have lost in this 4-game losing streak that was right on the silver platter for them, and they let it go. It was right there for them. This final score, 37-15, is not indicative of how close this game actually was for most of this night on Sunday night, because the Jets sat there. They had a 15-6 lead in this game. 15-6 lead in this game. And they got the touchdown only because nobody saw that Jeff Ulbrich threw a challenge flag on the play. He was about to challenge the play before, where it appeared that Breece Hall may or may not have gotten over the end zone line for a touchdown, and he was going to challenge that. Nobody saw him throw the flag. The play continued, and Aaron Rodgers hit Tyler Conklin for the touchdown that gave the Jets at the moment, a 13-6 lead. That was a fortunate moment. And then you had the Steelers getting called for a leverage play on the extra point. Jets decided to go for two. They got that, made it 15-6. And you're thinking, hey, maybe the Jets have a chance to walk out of here in Pittsburgh with a win. Russell Wilson looked terrible for the first half of this game. And you sat there, and even they were mentioning with Tirico and Collinsworth saying, is Mike Tomlin going to pull Russell Wilson out of this game? He looks terrible. Put Justin Fields back in. Fields was the reason why the Steelers were 4-2 going into the matchup. But Mike Tomlin decided to go with Russell Wilson, the veteran who has been there and done that, but as we all know, the last couple of years is not the same player that he once was in Seattle. And for half of this game, we saw the bad Russell Wilson again. And then in the second half, we saw the good Russell Wilson because the Jet defense just can't seem to tackle anybody. They have a whole bunch of injuries, obviously, on the defensive side. And obviously, Sauce Gardner got beaten up. Well, Ashton Davis, he got beat up in this game, had to leave. We saw, even from the offensive standpoint, AVT at one point left this game. And then there was the awful injury to Xavier Newman, a Jets offensive lineman. Hopefully things are going well for him. He was taken to the hospital. They said that his extremities were indeed moving, so that's a good sign. Hopefully he'll be on the mend soon. Forget football for a second for him, because that's scary when the player goes down like that and has to get carted off the field. But the Jets had a lot of injuries in this game. That's not an excuse. It's just the way it was, and the Steelers took full advantage. They picked apart the Jets in the second half. Najee Harris ate the Jets' lunch on the ground in this game, 102 yards rushing. And Russell Wilson, 264 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He looked good overall at the end of the day. And the Steelers just ransacked the Jets 24-0 in the second half of this game and ran away with it 37-15. The Jets had no answers. The 2 big interceptions by Aaron Rodgers were the deciding factor in this game. And now all of a sudden, 15-6 becomes 15-13. The Steelers eventually get a field goal, make it 16-15, and the Jets, with Rodgers down only 1 point, you're still in the game, throws the ball perfectly to Garrett Wilson, who has the ball bounce off of his chest and into the hands of Bishop again, who rumbles 41 yards the other way, nearly gets into the end zone for a pick six. Of course, Russell Wilson himself finishes it off with the 1-yard plunge. That was the game right there. Those two turnovers were that was it. That was the game. There's nothing else to say about this team. They're poorly coached. They don't tackle well. They don't execute well. They don't do anything well. They're not focused. There's no unity on this team. There's nothing. And Devontae Adams, all this talk from the thought, hey, maybe Devontae Adams will change things up. What's he going to change? I said it last week. What's Devontae Adams' addition going to change on the New York Jets? 3 catches, 30 yards. That's it. That's it. And you have the owner, Woody Johnson, sitting there in the box as he's looking down morosely on this disaster that he has created. He created this monster with Rodgers, with Adams, with the firing of Robert Saleh after 5 weeks of the season, after the London game. And now this team basically is going the rest of the way without a head coach. And look, I have nothing against Jeff Ulbrich. He is a good guy. He's a fairly decent defensive coordinator. He is not a head coach. He is not a head coach. And this team is walking around like they have no leadership at all on this team. There's nothing going on with this team right now as they fall to 2-5. Now I know they get the Patriots next week and they should win that game, get to 3-5. Yay! But then after that, you get Houston, who's a good team. You get Arizona, who's a prickly team, pretty good. What are the Jets going to be then? 3-6, 3-7? They're done. It's over. Forget it. Playoffs, forget it. And I know you can look down the schedule and say, hey, look, you got Miami there, they're not that good. You got Jacksonville down there. You got Seattle, who's not that great. You're running out of games. These losses keep stacking up. And what is it that this Jets team has done that makes you think they can turn it around? There's nothing right now. There's really nothing. They're looking right now at staring down the barrel of a full house cleaning. From the GM to the head coach, the interim head coach, players, it's going to be a full house cleaning, but it's really all on the owner who's created this monster. And now the report earlier on Sunday that Hassan Reddick is going to come back today, Monday, and finally end his holdout. Congratulations, took 7 weeks. Hell, 7 weeks. It took months. What are the Jets going to get out of him now down the stretch of the year? And I read saying it's going to be a short-term deal, but the possibility of a long-term deal. Look, I hope Hassan Reddick plays well these 10 weeks, and the Jets and the two sides just say goodbye to each other after that, because it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. This team needs a total facelift right now. And you compare it to some of these other teams. I mean, hey, look, just look in this town, in New York City. The Mets. Great chemistry. Terrific season. What do they have that the Jets don't have? They're a well-built team in the organization from the top down. Yankees, same thing. Well-built, top down. That's just in baseball. Even the Giants are a mess themselves, but hey, look, no one had high expectations for the Giants this season, and both those two teams now, the Jets and the Giants, have the same identical record. The only good thing that came out of this game for the Jets is the fact that the Jets got Breece Hall involved in the passing game. He had 103 yards receiving. That's the only good thing you can come out of this game, because nobody else had a good game. Complete disaster. A complete disaster. Season is over for the Jets. I don't know where it's going to go next. I don't know. How do you rebuild this disaster? How do you rebuild this mess? And the owner, he's got to take some responsibility for what's happened here. He's got to take some of the onus here, because 37-15 to a Pittsburgh Steelers team, a mediocre Pittsburgh Steelers team. 4 straight losses. A 40-year-old quarterback who, this team is highly overrated. They're not a team. They're just not a team right now at all. And when you don't have a head coach, you don't have that person there that can make the team and create and get this team gelled, and united. That's why when you fire the head coach so early in the year or any point in the year, you're basically waving the white flag on the entire season. And that's what the Jets did. Not saying that Robert Saleh is the greatest coach in the world, but that's the situation the Jets find themselves in 2024. Right now, looking towards 2025. Your thoughts below. We'll talk to you next time.